taking on AI-based innovation with a deep sense of social responsibility. So we are a combination of a for-profit and a non-profit at the same time. We understand and recognize that what we do, disrupts the traditional jobs as we know it. It has the potential to. Any AI company is in a way dabbling into disrupting the workforce.
After 20 years at Envestnet, Babu Sivadasan was ready to start a new company and looking for the right idea. He realized that there was a need for intelligent software that could help stitch together other applications and data sets and act as a bridge between humans and algorithms. And that's how his new firm, Jiffy.ai, was born. I spoke with Babu about the difference between real AI and fake AI, how hyper apps can change the world, and a whole lot more on this episode of the Wealth Management Today podcast. It's another fantastic day in the wonderful world of wealth tech. Welcome to episode 70 of the Wealth Management Today podcast. I'm your host, Craig Iskowitz, and I run a consulting firm called Ezra Group. We're experts in everything related to wealth tech. We deliver growth-oriented solutions to banks, broker-dealers, asset managers, RIA aggregators, as well as their wealth tech providers through our premium advice and targeted market research. On this podcast, I speak with some of the smartest people in the industry who are on the leading edge of technology and innovation. Please remember to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and share this episode across your social media networks. I'd like to welcome our guest for this episode of the Wealth Management Today podcast. It is none other than Babu Sivadasan, co-founder and CEO of Jiffy.ai. Hey, Babu, how are you?
Great. Thank you, Craig. Thank you for having me.
I'm happy you're here. We haven't spoken in a while, Babu, and I was getting worried about you. Your head's down, working so hard and building a new company. It's great to see.
Yeah, no, it's been a great experience. Just hunkered down, and that's what everybody's doing. And in the process, creating something great again. So very excited about doing that.
I'm excited to see it. I mean, you and I go way back. I mean, I first met you, I think, in 2005, 2006. So it's been impressive to see the growth.
Quite a while ago, isn't it?
Yeah, quite a while ago. Things have changed a lot since then.
Yeah, no, I remember we were such a small company during those S&P days, so we have come a long way at Envestnet. Yeah. From there, and now I'm back to being small again.
Back to square one. Yeah, that's how you get everything started. So speaking of square one, let's talk about Jiffy.ai. Love the concept, love what you guys are doing there. Can you give me the 30-second elevator pitch?
Yes, so we are a hyper automation platform. We deliver hyper apps. If you look at enterprise applications, that were built over the last 30 years, they're extremely efficient. They've been built with the fundamental assumption that humans are going to operate them. With the advancement in AI technology and things like that, so we are delivering next generation enterprise applications, that are hyper apps, that are extremely resilient and extremely autonomous applications for enterprise on the middle back office. And extremely engaging front-end applications to go with it. So you look at up and down the stack, and you're looking at possibilities of making those applications autonomous, with the evolution of AI.
Yeah, I want to get into that and how you're doing that, and are they really autonomous? But first, so you and I met before even Envestnet. I think Envestnet had just been founded, or it was merged with the two companies, right? Envestnet and Net Asset Management back in the day. You were in the wealth management space and in trading and building applications for advisors. So what gave you the idea to build this company, which is really very different, a completely different take on things?
We built a great capability for the advisors, but if you look at within the enterprise, and if you look at middle and back office within the enterprise, from our enterprise, there is quite a bit of activities, that are extremely manual or things, that require a lot of stitching things together, lot of things, that, at scale, it tends to be very challenging, right? So you need application of technology to a lot of that. And, we went on, I looked around, looked at all the automation technologies, that were out there, things, that you could do at scale, where you handle a lot of documents and a lot of, applications, that you have to stitch together to perform end-to-end business processes. And, thought there was a need for something from the ground up, with the foundation built on machine learning, that allows you to make a lot of those decisions, so truly bridge the gap, that divide between humans and machines, where traditionally, you've always had to employ mechanisms, like data entry, you have to stitch applications together, where you have to hand it over to people to kind of do the next step and things like that. Whereas using machine learning, you can today's technology allows you to bridge that gap very effectively. So we build a lot of capability, machine learning capability, and things like that that can understand any type of documents that you have to deal with. So instead of you having to look at it, read it, and kind of do the key that in, make decisions based on that. Machines can do that. So our AI models, our machine learning models, do all that. We have cognitive abilities that allow you to understand any kind of documents or any kind of applications that you're looking at. Just like humans, we look at things. We immediately understand things. We listen to things and we immediately comprehend what it is, and we are bringing that level of comprehension to the machines.
So I always hear a lot of firms say they have AI.
Yeah.
And there was a big boom in firms appending AI to their name.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, but I'm assuming you're really AI. So what is the difference between firms that say they have AI versus firms that really use AI?
So AI, is broadly used or misused, right? Now people look at rules-based, logic, that you write in applications, and then you just call it AI. AI is, machine learning in general, right? Is trying to replicate how our brains work. So you're looking for patterns, and you're trying to make decisions on, you're training yourself based on data and training the system, right? And then you encounter things that you haven't encountered before. A rules-based system will immediately fail because you haven't coded for that. Whereas a machine learned system will approximate and try to make a decision based on that. And just the same way our brain works. And so a lot of our capability, when we say we understand a screen or we understand a document, what we really mean is that we have trained the system for understanding or familiarized our technology with a lot of data set, and then you're able to understand and to make decisions based on something that you haven't seen before, right? So for example, we have an invoice processing hyper app, where we deal with thousands of vendors, right? But we haven't trained the system for thousands of vendors. We have trained the system for a select number of vendors, and then our machine learning, the algorithms, the understanding that it gets from those training is applied for future things that you haven't seen before. So it is core capability, core applications of machine learning in those scenarios. So similarly, like when you look at applications, right? You see screens, and you train a certain set of screens, and that leads you to understand using a certain set of screens, and now you see a new screen, and we are able to understand it. So what that allows us to do is, integrate with the applications, more seamlessly. And even when APIs are not available, we are able to go in and out of applications.
So tell me more about, let's move on to the hyper apps.
Yeah.
Again, another buzzword, hyper, right? A lot of people append the word hyper to things. So when you say hyper app, what do you mean by hyper app?
Okay, so you have standard enterprise applications, that exist today, right? So they perform functions, whether it is accounting, whether it is invoice processing, or purchase order processing. A lot of functional things, that happen within enterprises. There are enterprise applications of today. Only problem with those applications are built with the fundamental assumption that humans are going to operate them. So in other words, to get an invoice, for example, into the system, a human, somebody has to key that in. Somebody has to, when a vendor sends an invoice to you, somebody is supposed to go in and input all that into the system. So on an organization spend anywhere between $5 to $20 per an invoice, for example. And then the same can be applied to variety of functions, whether it is opening accounts, whether it is a lot of other activities, that are fundamental to keeping your business running. So that's what is there today. When we talk about a hyper app, is autonomous application. So what that means is, the same function, same underlying enterprise applications maybe, but you put a layer of technology on top of it, where you eliminate that, so where the invoices or any type of documents, that are coming in, you're automatically able to feed that in, so that there is no human involvement in the process. So, and if you look at hyper apps, so typically applications, we only see when it gets to the enterprise, middle and back office, and there are functions that happen there. But then there is a front-end component to it, which is engaging with the consumer. And when we talk about a hyper app, it is that whole stack, extremely engaging client experience, consumer experience, and then autonomous behavior on the back end, middle and back office, where all of that information comes right in and it goes right through all the way to the back end platforms.
So now we know what a hyper app is, and we know one of your big, one of the most popular apps that Jiffy.ai sells is the invoice processing. Can we talk about something that's a little more related to financial services, although of course financial services has to do invoicing, but it's more a back-end service. On the front end, or maybe this is more middle office, you have an automated KYC process,
right,
or a hyper app.
Right.
That seems like every bank and every broker-dealer could use that.
Right.
Is that true?
Absolutely. So there, what we're talking about is, every account that you open, right? So there is a KYC requirement. You need to collect a lot of information from the consumer, from the investor. So make that process extremely engaging, where you don't necessarily have to get it all in one shot. You can get it in multiple phases, but get that process to be extremely engaging. It can be omni-channel, right? Multiple ways of engaging with the consumer to get that information, and all the supporting documents, whether it is your supporting financial documents and things like that, all of that gets sent over and it is automatically processed. So that's what we refer to when we say hyper app, so where all those documents come in and literally very little human touch involved in processing them. And then an account gets established all the way to the custodian.
Excellent. And is there, I was reading that there's a validation engine. Is that shared amongst the hyper apps, or is it only for certain ones?
No, there are validation engines, so for example, if you have an account opening form and you write on it, like let's say you make corrections on it, you filled it, but then you met with the client, and you made corrections on it or written on it, so being able to read all that, automatically extract all that and make sure all of that gets fed back into the core systems, and all of that happens automatically.
So you talked about automation, and you talked about the apps being resilient and autonomous.
Right.
So there's a difference between automation, automated, and autonomous. How do you make these apps autonomous? I mean, they don't need any human direction.
Yeah, so initially there is human direction, right? But then the system is constantly learning, constantly understanding. So we have something called as human in the loop, where system isn't comfortable enough to make a certain decision, and then human gets involved and takes that action, but the system behind the scenes is learning that. So next time, say similar action happens, it'll automatically learn. Now, what we mean by resiliency is, being able to understand and apply certain logic. Like for example, if you're talking about documents and things like that, sometimes you're doing an OCR and you're not able to distinguish between a letter I and the number one. Like it looks very similar, right? But being able to apply context, hey, here is this field, this could possibly have these set of values, and being able to apply that kind of understanding and self-correct mistakes in the underlying technology like an OCR or things like that, and that makes it resilient.
I want to take a break from this episode to talk about one of my favorite charities. It's the Invest in Others Charitable Foundation, which is a charity that amplifies the efforts of financial advisors who give back to their communities and communities abroad. Invest in Others provides a platform for financial advisors, their employees, and their firms to increase awareness, visibility, and funding for their favorite nonprofits. Over the past 14 years, Invest in Others has given more than $3 million to 300 plus charities across a variety of causes, including health and wellness, education and youth programs, arts and culture, hunger and poverty prevention, and military, veterans, and more. For more information, please visit investinothers.org. Follow them on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and please make a donation and check if your company will match your donations. You'll double the benefit. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. When you're building out these apps, and I was interested in your Innovate and your code generation tools, which appear to be building blocks that anybody could use to build a code. Right. Are you building your own hyper app out of this building blocks, or is that a separate system totally?
No, it's a component. So earlier I talked about a very engaging client experience, right? So when you talk about autonomous behavior, like you don't need any kind of front end, right? But then the way we define the hyper app, there is a front end engagement at the consumer level, at the advisor level, and things like that. So where you do need to build applications quickly. So being able to just simply define what you're looking for, rather than and let systems, automatic technology automatically create those functional components that you're looking for there. That becomes a component of this end-to-end hyper app. That is what we're talking about there. So we have technology that can take in simple commands or instructions or functional specifications and convert that into applications, right? So you merge or blend automatic behavior with an engagement with the consumer or any character that you have to engage with. So you can nicely blend these two experiences, and that makes it a hyper app.
And the other part I want to talk about the hyper app was the configurable workflows. So there's a lot of workflow engines out there, a lot of workflow tools. How is Jiffy's configurable workflows different?
Yeah, no, so we look at workflow from an automation perspective. So there are workflows out there, workflow capability out there, but that's all built for, again, going back to somebody has to act on it. There is no autonomous behavior built in. That's what we do.
Interesting. Moving on to, so we talked about hyper apps. You have another product that you call Innovate. This is the one I think is really valuable, and I'm really interested in this, being a former programmer. that you're reimagining software development and having the system generate its own code. How are you doing that, and how is that better than a real programmer doing the code?
Where it is really different, the value add is, we every line of code that we write, we introduce the possibility of bugs. So as we speak right now, there are thousands of people out there, writing, introducing bugs into the software that, because we bring new people in all the time, and we are repeating the same set of mistakes, same things that we have solved before, or you don't know that you have a piece of functionality that is already in there, but you're still building it, because you don't know that a new person coming into the team doesn't know about it. So software development, especially enterprise application development, is fundamentally broken that way. Whereas, if we were to let systems do that, they have that awareness, they have that digital blueprint of the entire ecosystem, entire application, that digital twin, if you will, right? So with that, it knows, if you're looking for a new piece of functionality, it will automatically bring up that set of choices, that already exist, that you may have already created. Being able to, write self-tested code, automatically, being able to, so you're taking this to a paradigm, a much higher level, where you're talking in terms of the needs, that you're trying to solve for, and let machines interpret that, so we have heavy capability in natural language understanding, so we are able to read those instructions in plain English, right? And why do we have to write code? Because machines didn't understand your own way of expressing things. So you had to learn machines' way of doing things, right? And now we are talking about machines have gotten to that stage where we can, with technology, enable them to think like us, or enable them to interact and take things, that are native to us, and have them be interpreted rather than the other way around, which is supposed to be the way, which is what we always wanted, right? So it's finally getting to be a reality.
Mm-hmm. But isn't it true that the AI is just simulating human thought? Or is it really having its own thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's really having a series of small innovations, that you put them together, and that's what contributes to that capability.
Let's talk a bit about this year you guys raised $18 million in a Series A. So congratulations.
Thank you.
You've done a lot with the company in a short amount of time. How is that this latest funding raise going to help the firm?
Yeah, so what we do takes a lot of capital, right? We are putting out groundbreaking technology. That takes a lot of effort and a lot of engineering, a lot of technology investment that is necessary to do that. And we have been fortunate to get that first round of capital. That was, essential to, invest, and build a team out, build a strong technology team, technology capability, and things like that. So, we are in that. We've done that. We are serving clients today. We have 30 plus clients. 10 Fortune companies as clients. So we are in that. Just getting our technology out there, and customers start leveraging the value of it, and getting to that next step of the evolution of the organization. And we've raised capital from outstanding venture capital firms, and a bunch of public company executives, and people who believe in what we are doing. And so the way we are doing this, we are taking on AI-based innovation with a deep sense of social responsibility. So we are a combination of a for-profit and a non-profit at the same time. We understand and recognize that what we do, disrupts the traditional jobs as we know it. It has the potential to. Any AI company is in a way dabbling into disrupting the workforce as we know it, and so it's been a good way to combine the two. So on one end, you can be disruptive, but then on the other end, you can also be compassionate about it. You can help invest in those people who might be potentially being affected, help them retrain, for the next set of jobs. So it's a very humbling experience that way to kind of try and do both at the same time.
I want to remind people who are listening, if you are working for an enterprise wealth management firm or any enterprise, you should look up Jiffy.ai. It's Jiffy.ai, and look into their hyper apps and innovative software development tools and testing automation. We didn't even get to that at all. Data analytics, so much stuff you guys are doing. We're about out of time. Babu, thank you so much for being on the program. It was great to chat with you again. I'm glad we were able to connect after all this time away.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and let's get together in person next time. So I can walk you through. I can show you some of the cool things that we're doing and things like that. So it's great to connect with you again, Craig.
Yeah, man. We'll definitely put that on the calendar for when we can all get together in person.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Babu. Hey, it's Craig again. These are my 3 takeaways from this episode. Hyper apps are extremely useful. Looks like a lot of great workflow processes are being automated very quickly and easily. Some pretty big companies are using these hyper apps. I don't like buzzwords, but this one seems to fit. I'm looking for big things out of Jiffy.ai with their next series of these apps. I've been hearing a lot of firms talk about their ability to generate software without having to code. The ability to speak in natural language to Jiffy.ai system and have it convert that language into actual running software is amazing, and really could be a game changer if it works the way I say it works. I'm going to do some testing on that myself. I love to see this. This can really help push down the diversify number of people who can write code and build software. You wouldn't need to have the highest level developers available. You could just give it to the business people, have them say what they want, and it gets built. That's a pretty amazing thing if it works. And finally, why can't more firms follow the lead of Jiffy.ai and act as for-profit and nonprofit at the same time? The added responsibility can only be good for society and the planet, in my opinion. And that's a wrap for this episode. Please remember to like and subscribe everywhere you listen to podcasts, and talk to everyone next time.